I want this. How do I get this? PM recently released a Rodion Ego, which has a quite funny effect that surely cannot be abused at all. So now we're going to abuse it, to the extent that we actually have a use case for Uptie 1 level 45 N Meursault. In Limbus company, bleed works like this. Every time something, ally or foe, uses an offensive coin, it will receive bleed damage by the potency and lose 1 count. Sanguine Rose completely deletes the last part, so we can proc the bleed damage as often as we can get the enemy to use offensive coins. The easiest way to do so is to clash, as you won't receive any damage, but the enemy still uses offensive coins. For this strat, we're going to abuse a few IDs and egos to create a scenario where we can zero clash with the enemy. That means we will always have a clash value of 0 and the enemy will also always have a clash value of 0. In Limbus company, the behavior for this situation is that the game keeps clashing until we hit 99 clashes and both skills get cancelled. But the bleed damage still goes through. Let's look at an example case for the last boss in Railway 3. There are 8 IDs that are helpful for this. Number 1, Faust, ideally N Faust with Fluid Sac. Faust is only here for one thing. Have Fluid Sac overclock applies attack power down. And if we unsafely overclock it, you can hit both clashes. If you can, keep Fluid Sac uptie free so you don't lose unnecessary SP on ally hits. Second, uptie 1 N Meursault with uptie 3 Chains of Others. I will have to add that it has to be an uptie 1 or 2 N Meursault. That is level 45 and exactly has an uptie 3 Chains of Others equipped. Any other variation won't work in this case. But why? If we look at the target skill, we want to zero clash. It's a 53 offense level, 4 base power, 3 coin power skill. If we clash this with N Meursault's S1, which has 45 offense level, it will turn into a 6 base power and 3 coin power per coin skill. N Meursault's S1 at uptie 1 and 2 has a base power of 4 and 2 coins with a value of 1. That means his max roll is 6. That means we will have to reduce the enemy's N Meursault's base power by 6 and then only the enemy's coin power by 3. Now how do we do that? First, we use Kleinhammer Heathcliff, ideally at uptie 2. Heathcliff's job is very simple. He has a 2 coin drop on his S2, if he's at least uptie 2. His coin drop relies on hitting heads, so the higher SP you got on him, the less failure rate. Ideally, you don't want to upgrade him to uptie 3, as we don't need his S3 and it makes rolling his S2 a bit easier. Second, Rodion with Sanguine. Her job is also very simple. You just spam Sanguine on the part you are stacking bleed on. Speed or anything doesn't matter because it's an on-combat start effect. Though, you do want to start with enough SP to not corroll midway. As well as BL Don Quixote with uptie 4 Sangre, which is her Zayn. Don's job is also simple. She's the primary bleed stacker of this team. Technically any Don is fine for this, as you only use Sangre on her. But you want her to be as fast as possible, so that she is very often faster than Gregor. Speaking of, we will need a Kurokumo clan captain Gregor at uptie 4. He wants to be uptie 4, as sometimes you will only have 8 bleed in the first turn, and uptying him to 4 lowers his bleed requirement on the S3 from 10 to 7. You could equip Legerdemain and overclock it in the second turn in case you ever need extra bleed, but it is not required usually. Additionally, we want KK Rodia and KK Honglu in the passive slots, as they will provide us with some additional bleed if you aren't unlucky and BL Dawn is the fastest at turn 1 and 2, which she is often. This bleed is technically not necessary, but can help due to the RNG nature. Okay, now that we got our team, it's time to jump into the fight. First of all, check if Dawn is faster than Gregor. If not, reset. Then, check if Gregor has 1 S3 and Heathcliff has 1 S2. If not, reset. Then, check which ID the boss grasps. If it is Meursault, Roger or Dawn, reset. Then check Faust's unsafe overclock. If it doesn't target Meursault and the boss's hands, reset. If you got through all that on a run, it is now time to actually play. On Meursault, you want to use Chains of Others on the boss's hands. On Faust, you want to use your unsafe overclock, which you can't aim. On Dawn, you want to use Sangre on the boss's hands. On Heath, you want to use his S2 on the boss's hands. On Gregor, you want to use his S3 on the boss's hands. On Rodion, you want to use Sanguine on the boss's hands. Now there are 2 points of failure. If anyone hits the dodge and fails the check, it often means resetting. If Heath hits tails, it also means resetting. Alright, once we are in turn 2, you will have to make only one check. Does any of the boss's red skills target N Meursault? If not, you will have to reset. N Meursault has a speed of 1, so you need him to be a target already. He cannot redirect. Otherwise, if you got through this part as well, stack bleed until you hit 24 or 25 if you want to be mega safe. Bleed on the boss's hands. And the rest goes to clashing the abilities which he has on his other hands. One of them is attack weight 5, I think, which you ideally want to clash. If you did all this, you shall be rewarded with this.
'Cause I know I must be the reason why you have given up your smiles and the hope inside your eyes have been stolen. I must be the reason why you must tell me all these lies, wishing you a better life without me by your side. The message has already been said, so Patrice, avoid all that. How much we must have diverged. Hello, goodbye, good night, goodbye. Here we are, it's our final chance. With your hand to what must be done.